Helene.
Good to have you with us this morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We begin today with the latest from the Middle East. Israeli soldiers have started what the IDF is calling, quote, limited, localized, and targeted ground operations against Hezbollah inside Lebanon.
Israeli officials notified the U.S. that the operations would be limited in scope and duration. The IDF says the incursion is meant to protect Israeli citizens who live along the border with Lebanon. In a statement, Hezbollah said it was targeting Israeli troops in northern Israel with rockets. Sirens sounded in Tel Aviv after what the IDF called projectile launches that crossed from Lebanon were intercepted. The ground invasion is the latest escalation in the ongoing conflict between the two sides, a conflict that has rattled Lebanon in recent weeks. NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley joins us now from the Lebanese capital with the latest. Matt, good morning. Let's start with the latest on the ground. Tell us more about the current situation in southern Lebanon. What kind of operations are Israeli forces conducting, and how is Hezbollah responding?
Well, the short answer to that, Joe, is I don't know. But as you said in your introduction, this could be so limited, so localized, so targeted, to borrow the IDF's language, that Hezbollah might not have even noticed. In fact, they went so far as today to call all of this a lie. They said that Israelis had not actually penetrated the border, that this was Zionist propaganda, and that they hadn't exchanged fire with the Israelis. Now, that's all very possible. We heard from Reuters, who was quoting a security official in the Israeli security establishment, saying that the Israelis had not exchanged fire with Hezbollah. So in a way, it almost looks as though this incursion looked a lot like what we've been seeing over the past couple of days, or what we just heard about yesterday, when the Israelis came out and admitted that they had already been sending troops across the border on reconnaissance missions. We don't know really, we don't have any details at this early hour for exactly how last night's raids or incursions or invasion, whatever language you choose to use here, whether that's different from what we've been hearing about has been happening over the past couple of days. But so far, it sounds as though it has been, again, to use the Israelis' words, very, very limited. They said, according to Reuters, that they have only penetrated so far across Lebanon as to be still within walking distance of the border. And the Israelis also told Reuters that they were not planning on launching a ground invasion as far north as where I am right now, Beirut, Lebanon's capital, that was, quote, off the table. So we really don't know much about last night's operation. We don't know exactly what happened. We don't know if Israeli troops simply went in and left, or if they're still actually within Lebanese borders. This is something that we're going to be getting in the next couple of hours and days, and all of that is going to determine what happens next in this conflict. But so far, the real issue here, guys, is still the air-to-ground attacks that Israel has been using, pounding Hezbollah targets across the country, and here in Dahia, just off my right shoulder in the southern district of Beirut. That has been used to great effect by the Israelis to cripple Hezbollah, to decapitate their leadership, and to really put them on the back foot, as it looks like the entire world is trying to figure out what Israel and what Hezbollah, and crucially, what Iran is going to do next in this expanding conflict. Guys?
So, Matt, with the stated goal of making it safe for Israelis in the north of the country near that Lebanese border, making it safe enough for them to go home, are the kind of limited operations they say they are conducting and they say they will restrict themselves to enough to achieve that?
Well, if you're talking about, and this is not our own reporting, this is what we heard from Reuters, quoting a security source within the Israeli security establishment. If that's true, if last night's operation only went so far as to be within walking distance of the Lebanese-Israeli border, if they didn't exchange fire with any Hezbollah commandos, then the obvious answer is no. They're not actually doing much in order to push back the Hezbollah from beyond their range of artillery and missile fire. That is the critical thing, and that's the stated objective that we've been hearing the Israelis saying for the past several weeks. They want to make sure that they can return their populations in the north of Israel back to their homes, tens of thousands of people. That's the stated objective of this operation. Now, if what we saw last night was the extent of that, they probably haven't achieved it. But the thing, as I'm saying, that they've been using to great effect are these airstrikes, and that has gone quite a long way. Guys?
All right, Matt Bradley. Matt, thank you so much.
Now let's get to our other big story of the morning. Hurricane Helene's unprecedented path of destruction, causing historic flooding, demolishing entire neighborhoods. The storm killed at least 125 people, and it's left many others unaccounted for.
The scope of the widespread devastation is still just coming into focus. Rescue crews are finally starting to access remote areas in the mountains of Tennessee and North Carolina, places that were too tough to reach because the roads are either littered with debris or washed away entirely.
NBC News correspondent Priscilla Thompson is in Erwin, Tennessee. She joins us with the latest. Priscilla, good morning. While we are still getting a sense of the scope of the damage out there, there are dozens of people who are unaccounted for, maybe hundreds. What's the latest you're hearing from officials?
Yeah, Savannah, good morning. Overnight, officials here updated that there are now a little over 100 people who are still unaccounted for. That number is down from 150 as of yesterday, but they did also increase the death toll from 3 people yesterday to now 6 people confirmed dead as a result of this storm. Officials here say that there are 100 responders who are on the ground still searching through this debris for any signs of life, but they say that at this point, this has become a search and recovery mission. They are no longer looking at search and rescue, and they are saying that this is a painstaking process because as they find remains, they want to ensure that those are storm-related deaths and not something else. And so just letting people know who are out there missing relatives, missing loved ones, that this will take time. And we also have learned that the governor of Tennessee is expected to be on the ground today to survey the damage and provide an update as well. Savannah, Joe.
Priscilla, we're seeing so many dramatic images from where you are. That includes people being rescued from a hospital roof there that was just surrounded by floodwaters. Tell us more about what happened there.
Yeah, and that hospital is actually right across the street from us. And I spoke to the chief medical officer. He was the last person to be evacuated from that rooftop. And he says that originally they had planned to hunker down, but as they saw how quickly the water was rising, he realized that he had to get folks out. And so he called the governor in order to get those choppers here. And take a listen to how he described the scene.
There were literally flowing rapids, probably 6 inches to a half a foot to a foot high, flowing within the building. And every team member, even with that, were pushing those gurneys to get them out through the doors, to get them back into an eddy behind the hospital. And that's where we used ladders from the fire truck to get on the roof because
So you all hoisted those patients onto the roof?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, we did. Some of us carried individual patients on our backs. We just didn't know how much time we had.
They were able to save more than 60 people in that rescue, but unfortunately, the chief medical officer says that now there are members of their staff and their team that are currently unaccounted for. Joe, Savannah.
Priscilla, I also want to ask you, it's a company called Impact Plastics. We understand several of its employees at a plant there in Erwin where you are, they were killed and many are still missing. What can you tell us?
Yeah, so Impact Plastics says that there were folks working at their factory, and as the roadway and the parking lot began to flood, they dismissed those employees, but they say that there were some employees that for some reason stayed on the property, and as the water began to rise, they ended up trapped inside of a semi-truck, and that semi-truck tipped over. And so there were 5 people who were able to be rescued by chopper, but there were 6 people who went missing and have not yet been found. And we saw some of those family members at a press conference yesterday holding up photos of their loved ones, begging for answers. And of course, that death toll was updated overnight, so it is possible that some of those families may have gotten those answers. Many of them believed that their loved ones did, in fact, pass away from that tragic flooding. Joe, Savannah.
Priscilla Thompson, thank you so much for your reporting here.
Let's bring in Jay Carter, who's currently in another hard-hit area, Western North Carolina. He's the CEO of Halo Relief. That's a volunteer organization helping bring supplies to people impacted by the damage. Jay, I know you're busy, so thank you for your time this morning. I mean, I've seen this morning and have seen for days all the devastating video from that area, but you being there on the ground and having helped in past disasters, give us a sense of what you're seeing, and does it compare to anything you've ever seen before?
Well, sir, we started with Helene in Florida. We traveled with the storm up through Florida, through Georgia, South Carolina, and into North Carolina now. But it's left a lot of devastation in its path. It really is.
Tell us about some of the things that you need, and if someone is looking to donate, how can somebody do that? What supplies should they be donating to people in these hard-hit areas?
Well, you can go to halorelief.org and go to our Facebook pages, click the link, and go to area recovery as well. There's a place to donate. There's a place to volunteer. You can get requests for help, stuff like that. Go to those pages, and they'll guide you to whichever link you need. We need things like, obviously, food and water. Generators are a big help out here right now. There's no power in a lot of these towns we visited, obviously. And then something I didn't think about that kind of caught me off guard yesterday, we worked with a elderly gentleman, and he said at night that the blankets just weren't enough, that the temperature's dropping just enough at night that he's already getting super cold, uncomfortable, and he's a little worried about, his safety at this point.
So many things we don't think about till we actually get into these situations. Jay, it is incredibly difficult to get around there with roads washed out, covered by debris. Talk about what you're seeing and just how hard it is to get around and some of the other challenges you're experiencing.
Well, the water is obviously an issue here. It still hasn't completely subsided. You have mud, rocks, and then in with all that, you have the debris from the towns and the destruction. All this mixed together just makes it pretty complicated. We have some pretty big trucks here that can get through some of the mud, some of the water, but when you mix that with rocks and debris, it makes it really difficult to get to these areas. So the hands-on from the guys, the teams here with us, of going out and pulling this debris out, it is a long process. It honestly is, just to try to get to a few miles down the road.
Any idea how long you're going to be there for, Jay?
We're going to try to stay just as long as we can, as long as that need is there, and we have team members coming in, have the money to sustain us. We will stay here and help as many people as possible.
All right. Well, thank you for everything you're doing, Jay Carter. We appreciate your time this morning. Please keep us updated, all right?
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having us.
Well, in the midst of all this destruction, a North Carolina man is being hailed as a hero after jumping into a fast-moving river to save a woman who had been swept away by the raging floodwaters from Hurricane Helene, along with her home. Reporter Aaron Thomas from our affiliate in Raleigh has the story of this dramatic rescue caught on camera.
Oh, there it goes!
As onlookers watched raging floodwaters sweep away a home, panic ensued for the woman still inside of it.
When it was happening, I was trying to make a calculated risk. How do we save her?
Eddie Hunnell lives in Holly Springs, but spent the past weekend in Grassy Creek, Ashe County for his son's wedding.
Are you there?
Aftermath from Helene turned planned festivities into fright and fear. But that didn't stop Hunnell from jumping into action, literally.
Oh, my God.
I grew up swimming on a swim team. I was a lifeguard. I'm in okay shape, and I just couldn't watch her die. I felt like I needed to do that.
A life vest and rope on hand, he got into the raging floodwaters from New River, retrieved Leslie Worth from the home, and brought her to safety. Leslie and her husband Phil posed with the hero after walking out of the river to everyone's relief, and were bonus guests at the wedding rehearsal dinner, having lost all their personal belongings. Hunnell didn't fully comprehend what happened until later that night.
It didn't really hit me until I laid down in bed that night and about had a panic attack. But I didn't see another option.
An option demonstrating compassion for humanity.
Well, today might be the first day of October, but summer-like temperatures are still heating up the West.
All right, NBC meteorologist Michelle Grossman's tracking the dangerous heat wave and more. Michelle, good morning.
Hey there, guys. Good morning. Yeah, we have that fall heat wave still in full effect. We're going to see it lingering at least throughout most of this work week. We're waking up to 32 million Americans under heat alerts. That's in the west and to the southwest. We have heat advisories for places like Chico, Fresno, down in Bakersfield. Also excessive heat warnings. That's where you're looking in that hot pink color. San Francisco, Las Vegas, Yuma, Phoenix, and we're going to see temperatures soaring well above average once again, 20, even 30 degrees in some spots and into the triple digits in many. Some of those spots into the 100s, San Jose, Bakersfield, Las Vegas, Phoenix, also Yuma. Notice the little box next to it. We're going to break some October daily records as well. We're looking at records possibly being broken in San Jose, in Bakersfield, Las Vegas, also in Winslow, 95 degrees. And that warmth is going to spread on east as we head throughout the next couple of days. So Wednesday, we're looking at temperatures into the 90s in Denver, probably breaking a record there of 88 degrees. Winslow is going to be warm once again in Phoenix, El Centro, Las Vegas, Fresno. And these temperatures are going to stay in place Thursday, Friday, and Saturday as well in many spots into the triple digits in Las Vegas, 102 on Friday, 102 on Saturday, still warm too in Los Angeles and also Phoenix. So that's one story. Now with that warmth in place, it's dry, also a little bit windy in portions of the northern plains, the Great Basin. So we do have fire danger, 4 million under fire alerts. We have that red flag warning that's in the red, and also a fire weather watch in the orange. So places like Rapid City, Casper, Alliance, Rock Springs, and also Glasgow could see the threat for some fire today. That's one big weather story. Of course, we're still talking about the chance for some showers in portions of the central Appalachians into portions of the mid-Atlantic. We're not talking about a whole lot of rain, but still enough on those saturated grounds. We're going to see what's left over of Helene finally moving out today. We do have the chance for some heavy rain, though, in portions of Virginia into the northern parts of North Carolina. Otherwise, the rest of the country looks really good today. High pressure in place. That's going to bring a really nice day for many of us. We have a cold front, though, in parts of the Great Lakes into the Ohio Valley. That's going to make its way towards the east as we head throughout the next couple of days. And then notice in Florida, we're looking at the chance for some showers and storms. Not big storms, but could see some frequent lightning with any of those storms. Radar showing us where those showers are falling. Still seeing that rain falling. And we are seeing pockets of heavier rain where you see those brighter colors. The reds, the oranges, the yellows in portions of Virginia into West Virginia. So something to watch out as we head throughout the day. This is the good news. We're going to finally see it move offshore today, and that's going to give us a little bit of a break. Unfortunately, that cold front's going to bring the threat for more showers as we head throughout the rest of today into the Ohio Valley and also tomorrow. Additional rainfall, we're going to see about a quarter inch in some spots. Some spots could see up to an inch, but things are looking better weather-wise, helping with those recovery efforts.
A little bit helps, all right.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Michelle.
Sure.
Well, this morning, tens of thousands of dock workers at the biggest ports along the East Coast are on strike, demanding a new contract with higher pay in a work stoppage that could actually hit the economy hard.
Union port workers from the International Longshoremen Association walked off the job right at midnight Eastern time, just after their contract expired. There was a last-minute offer from the U.S. Maritime Alliance, which represents the major ocean freight operators, but it was not enough to reach a deal with the union after months of stalled negotiations. Now, 14 ports across the eastern and Gulf Coast have come to a total stop. Those ports handle about half the shipping imports into the U.S., leaving billions of dollars worth of trade stranded. NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans joins us now from the Port of Bayonne, New Jersey, with the latest. Christine, good morning. So this is the first time the Longshoremen's Association has walked off the job in nearly 50 years. The two sides had not been talking in months, but there was, as I mentioned, that last-minute offer that was rejected. Can you walk us through that offer and just what the workers are asking for?
So the workers really want limits on automation, and they want better pay. They want at least the better pay that the West Coast got when it had its strike a couple of years ago. Now, they were offered last night by the Shippers Association, the Shippers Consortium, essentially a 50% pay raise, and then, a big addition to their retirement contributions, and they rejected it. So they're at least talking. They hadn't been talking in a very, very long time. Another big piece of this, the pay is a big piece of it, but then the automation for gates and trucks and just port operations. Automation is something that shippers have been pursuing around the world, and the Longshoremen's Association very worried that that could be existential, a real existential threat for longshoremen.
Christine, the big question here is how much could this strike potentially hurt the economy? And then what does it mean for all of us consumers across the country? I understand one stat here. Some analysts say that the strike could cost the U.S. economy up to $4.5 billion each day of this strike. Can you explain how that is and which industries are going to be the most impacted?
I mean, there's just so much stuff sitting on these ships coming into these ports and sitting in these containers on these ports that normally is just zipping through the country every single day, every single minute of every single day. And so when that all stops, you've got cars, car parts, cherries, frozen chicken, computers, apparel. I mean, everything you can think of. I mean, the United States imports an awful lot of stuff, and about half of it comes through these ports here on the East and Gulf Coast. So it's just about everything you can think of. Now, the big retailers, they've seen this coming. They've seen this dispute in the making for months, and they've really been trying to draw forward a lot of the goods that they're going to need into the end of the year. But for some small manufacturers, for small business owners, for people who have assembly lines that rely on just-in-time inventory, that's a business phrase where, you don't have a lot of stuff on hand, they may have to, close down some of their assembly lines while they wait for goods to get here when, and for this to be finally resolved.
So, Christine, what's the Maritime Alliance saying about all this? And now that the strike has started, any plans for the two sides to meet?
I mean, as far as we know, they're not talking right now. They were speaking last night. At least they had offered that 50% pay raise, and it had been rejected. And now it's been radio silence since then, guys.
All right. Christine Romans, thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.